I'm Rik Walter. I'm playing John Muir. Well, actually, I have a couple personal connections. I grew up in North Dakota. And of course, North Dakota has Theodore Roosevelt National Park in it. Roosevelt spent some very formative years in the southwest Badlands of North Dakota. And I went to school. I'm from Bismarck, and I went to school in Dickinson, Dickinson State University, which is in the heart of the Badlands. And so I spent plenty of time in the Theodore Roosevelt Park, the Maltese Cross Ranch, as well as the Elkhorn Ranch, both the northern and the southern units, the Kildare Mountains. It's gorgeous, and you can see why he was so attached to it. But even more of a personal attachment, and North Dakota is called the Rough Rider State, you know, and Teddy Roosevelt took on that for his troop, you know, the charge up the San Juan Hill and all that. So North Dakota has taken on the identity of Theodore Roosevelt very keenly. They're very proud of that association. But even more so, my brother-in-law, Mark Clemetsrud, whom I met long before he even met my sister, was an actor. And in Theodore Roosevelt National Park, he portrayed Teddy Roosevelt on many consecutive summers. He did that both at Theodore Roosevelt National Park and at Yellowstone over various consecutive summers. And I have a very deep attachment to that because Mark, my brother-in-law, died just several years ago. And whenever I think of Teddy, I think of Mark. And he had an extensive library of original editions of Teddy Roosevelt books that he then donated to Dickinson State College, their library, their Teddy Roosevelt library, which is pretty extensive. Yeah. So I've got a pretty keen attachment. I've spent many vacations there in the national grasslands below as well, and we've had family reunions there. My kids have been romping around that area. We go back pretty steadily, so pretty attached. Well, I guess the biggest concern is how slavishly do I want to attach myself to who he was physically? Do I want to mimic? Well, I'm lucky in that I have found no footage, no recorded footage of John Muir. We have plenty of pictures, of course. What I do have is that he was a Scottish American, that he did speak with a Scottish brogue, so I've been doing my research on that. And I want to get that right, and I want to get right that he's from Dunbar area, which is, you know, east, you know, in the East Lothian area, east of Edinburgh. And they have some particular things. Instead of I, like I ate pie, they'd say I ate pay. They say A, you know, so I want to get that because that's a peculiarity to that particular region. The challenge will be, I think, is how far do you want to go? That balance between actually being clear and understandable to the audience and being authentic. And I think that goes over not just into the technical details of an accent, of a Scottish accent, but who he was generally. That I think actors can get bogged down sometimes in the details and at the cost of the truth, you know what I mean, the greater truth of who he was. So I'm going to try and find that balance. Hopefully with Cheryl and Ian on the set, you know, I'll be able to do that.